Hey there, Chadi Bazzi here, and welcome to another episode of the Top Listing Agent Show. I know I begin the show the same exact way each time, saying I'm super excited about my guest today. Today, I'm like super excited to have Knolly on with us. He's someone I've been, watching for years. He's an author of, I think, three listing-based books, and he's actively in the game, taking listings, done everything you're trying to do. So I wanted to bring him on, extract all the golden nuggets and his many years, many decades of experience in this industry, pass it on to you so you too can become a top listing agent. So without further ado, Knolly, thank you very much for being on the show.
Chadi, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm super excited to be on your show. And thank you for what you're doing to the community or for the community. Listings are where it's at, man. Listings are where it's at. And I heard a guy this morning, he said, right now it's listings. Hey, guess what? Chadi, you've been in the business over 20 years. It's always listings. So
Yeah.
any market is listings. So yeah, we're gonna have fun.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very interesting conversation, specifically with anything and everything that's happening in the markets all across the country. I was having a conversation with a woman last night, and she's like, "Chadi, I got 14 buyers. You know what that means?" I was like, "What?" She goes, "I ain't got no more time for my kids, and I can't even get one of them in escrow. What do I got to do to break through to the other side?" So yeah, it's going to be fun. So Knolly, why don't you begin? I mean, some people got to be familiar with, who you are. Some people may be hearing you for the first time. Can you give us a little, snapshot about just how awesome you are?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 13. I'm 51 now, and I've been in the real estate game since the age of 33. I got in the business after I was in another industry. I was in the music industry, and I did really well, Chadi, in that business. So well that we started with $1,800 that we got from friends and family, and I wanted to build this gospel rap business, and it grew to $150,000 a month in
Whoa.
income coming in, 150 grand a month. But we had 14 employees, we had 18 artists, we had lots of overhead. And so and so when the music industry sank around 2000, 2001, everything went to digital. I didn't shift with the market. And because I didn't shift with the market, I got shifted out of the market.
Wow.
And I was like, what do I do next? Real estate was the thing on the horizon because we had to sell. I mean, I was in foreclosure on a 6,000 square foot home on 10 acres, beautiful house with a recording studio on the property and an office building on the property as well. It was like my little paradise, man, but I was losing it. And when I saw what I paid the realtor, Chadi, to liquidate, we had to sell quick. It wasn't a short sale, it was a quick sale, fire sale, if you will. And I left with my tail between my legs, and I was like, okay, what are you going to do next? And a lot of people kept telling me, including my sister-in-law and others, were like, you'd be good in real estate. And so I took the plunge, man. And fortunately, this was in 2003, and a book had just been released. In fact, it hadn't even hit the market yet. I was living in Austin, same town that Gary Keller lives in, still live here. And this book had just come out that he wrote called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And it wasn't even yet published. It was just like a self-published type thing. So I went to the Keller Williams office in my town, and they gave me a copy of the book. Before I got my license, I read it a couple of times, and I decided, Chadi, from the very beginning that I was going to focus on listings. That was going to be my game. So much so that I took 21 listings my first 74 days in the business.
Whoa.
I took over 1,000 listings my first 10 years. I've worked with very few buyers. Probably 96% of my business has been listings throughout my career. And so at this point, it's over 1,200 listings taken and closed. And that's what I teach, man. But I will say this. I was terrified to start. Okay. So I got my license in June, and I didn't start practice. I didn't hang my license anywhere until December because I was just scared. And so I kept reading and reading and reading and reading the material. And okay, how do I say it? And what's my script? And how am I going to, like perfection is the enemy of progress, right?
Right.
But the cool thing was that when I hit the ground, I hit the ground running, and I didn't have anybody, Chadi, telling me, no, you got to start with buyers first. And when you get good at buyers, then you go to listings. I didn't know any better. I didn't have anybody telling me, no, you got to join a team first. Those are good things to do, and that's not bad advice. I just thought, hey, this is what the guy says to do. I don't know anything else. I just came out of a failed business, so I'm going to do this, and it has been very, very, very fruitful. And what I love to do more than anything, Chadi, is teach, man. I like teaching, training, coaching, helping, giving back. Just like you. I mean, I found myself much of my day was spent helping agents overcome hurdles, and I realized that that was something I enjoyed doing. I never thought you'd get paid to do it or there was any money in it. I just liked it. I like teaching,
Yeah.
So that's really my heart. That's where most of the majority of my time is spent now, in the game. But yeah, listings is where it's at, man. That's
Yeah,
it.
and that's one of the keys that attracted me to your message is your message is that there's no ego involved, and there's just the reality of like keep things simple. Here's a
Yeah.
specific model that you need to follow, and as long as you follow the model and not be lazy about it, then there's nothing really to complain about because the results are going to come in spite of you. Now, one thing that you did say that I want to address, because I know there's a lot of people that are experiencing kind of what you experienced early on in your career, where you said, hey, I got my license, I was, kind of afraid. I had a little fear. I felt like I had to learn A, B, and C, and D before I take an action. And yet now we have, agents who've been in the industry for a year or 2 years and are still feeling that way. And, my guess is they're going to keep on feeling that way for a very long time if they don't address that and do something about it. But what kind of advice would you have for that agent that's just on the sidelines? Like they know they can do a lot more, but that fear just cripples them. How do we overcome that fear, Knollys?
Yeah, that's really good, man, because here's the thing that you have to understand. So fear and doubt are kind of like we're talking about building belief, because when you have belief, okay, you're going to conquer anything.
Yeah.
But it really is fear and doubt, right? It starts in fear and doubt, and people vacillate from fear and doubt. And so from fear and doubt, sometimes we move into belief, but then we go back to fear. Oh, okay, I might be able to do it. Okay, I think I can do it. I think I can. I think I can. The little engine that thought he could, right? But
Yeah.
the reality is, it's not. So what I teach my students is we have to move from fear and doubt. We have to leave fear and doubt behind completely, and we may have to move into belief. And then once we get into belief, we believe that we can do it. Then we get into knowing. Okay, that's beyond belief. Okay, and then from knowing we get into being. So there's going to be a point where you just are a superstar. You're a top listing agent. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to dream about it. You just are. But it really starts with two things. Number one, if you're not doing what it takes to become a lister in this business, okay, I'm not even going to say in this market, because any market, in a down market, listings, in an up market, listings. So if you're not doing what it takes, then either you don't know what to do or there's fear and doubt around it. Okay. So if you know what to do, now, if you don't know what to do, this is right here. I wrote the book on it, Success with Listings. It's the reason why I wrote this, Chadi, is because people kept wanting to pick my brain. Nolly, could I help get picked?
Yeah.
I want to pick your brain. Finally, I picked it. Okay. It took 450. Let me look at this. It's 450 454 pages. Okay, this is not an afternoon read. This is a resource, right?
It's a
But
manual.
it's a manual. It's a resource manual. So if you don't know what to do, the help is out there. Okay, Chadi, you interview agents all the time. We're teaching the agents how. So there's no excuse to not know what to do. Now, if you know what to do and you're not doing it, okay, then we got a whole different issue, a whole different problem. There's fear, there's doubt. There might even be an emotional block. There might even be a success block. A lot of people, Chadi, that are gonna be listening to this right now, they have a block around success. In fact, they're constantly sabotaging themselves. But let me just break it down to something very simple. Okay, there's two things that you need, two key ingredients. Okay, number one, discipline. Write that down. Discipline. Okay, discipline is time on the task over time. It's doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result. That's not insanity now. It's doing, you know what works. You're doing the right things in the right order, because a lot of people do the right things in the wrong order. That's not the way. So you do the right things in the right order and you keep getting the success. So discipline is number one. And number two, accountability. You have to have it. Okay, the Homo sapiens race is no good, okay, for success without accountability. If you don't have accountability in your life, you won't be successful, or you won't at least have hit the heights of success that you could have hit if you had accountability. That's the reason why every major successful person has a coach. Okay, so that's what I would say is discipline. Now, what's discipline? Discipline is, we call it do the two. Now, when Gary wrote the book, he said to do 4 hours of lead generation every single day, 3 to 4 hours. What I found, Chadi, is that most of my students wouldn't do it. They just, I don't know what it is, man. They just wouldn't do it. So I came up with a simple formula, because with Pareto's principle, you and I know that 20% of the things that you're doing are going to yield you 80% of the result.
Right.
So what in my system, what I did was I said, okay, we're not going to have you do everything. We're just going to have you do the 20%, and you can do that in 2 hours instead of 4. Okay. You won't do 100%, but you'll get most of it done. So you do 2 hours a day, 4 days a week. I call it a 2x4. Okay. And in my mentorship masters group, we call it do the 2. That's 9 o'clock to 11 every single day, lead generation. Okay. Lead generation, Monday through Thursday. Okay. You can take Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. And people are like, well, what do I do when I sit down in my lead generation bunker? Well, I wrote a book called Triple My Listings. This is 27 marketing ideas for free seller leads. Okay. And the reason I wrote this one, Chadi, is because a lot of my students would get in there, what I call lead generation bunker. And what I teach is you get in there, you take your coffee, your water, your snacks. If you want a coffee refill, guess what? You're going to take a thermos in there. And because I don't want you out of your lead generation bunker, right? I don't want you walking to the water cooler or to the kitchen to get a snack or make a sandwich. No, you hunker down. Now you can take a bio break. Right?
Yeah.
That's 5 minutes, right? Or less. But you get back in there and you get it done. But people were in there like, okay, well, what do I do? What do I say? Who do I call? Or so that's the reason why I wrote this one with these. So all you have to do is just turn to a page and you say, oh, there's an idea. Let me focus on that one. Okay. So that really is it, Chadi. And you hit on it earlier. You talked about the whole concept of, time on the task over time, and people, just if they consistently do what they know they should be doing, they have they have to reach the result. They have to get success. It's inevitable. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about, okay, so we said belief is one, knowing and being. Being is that where it becomes a natural part of who you are. Correct. And we said on the other side is, some people don't know. Like, okay, they get to a place like, okay, I know what I got to do. I just don't know how to do it. And then, or some people say, hey, I don't have money to sign up for a Red X or this or that. And in your book, the 27 ways are those ways that they have to pay money to go out there and generate these leads, or free?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, free. See, I like low to no cost. That's my favorite number. Low to no cost. And so these ideas are actually free. There's no, so I got to tell you, I've never paid for a lead. Okay. Now I have had successful systems like LandVoice or RedX, but those aren't really lead generate. You're not really paying for leads. You're paying for a system to help you amalgamate or take the data and really streamline it. Okay. You're really paying for time is what you're paying for, because the leads you could actually get, like if you wanted to do foreclosures or pre-foreclosures or anything like that, you could actually get those, or even if you wanted to do old expireds or something like that, you could get that data on your own.
Yeah.
But it's just going to take you a lot longer to get it,
Right.
and it's going to be.
You just got to mine it.
Yeah, you got to mine the data. And so I do pay for services. I've got a lot of tools. I
Yeah.
have no problem paying for tools. But when it comes to for paying for leads, um, I'll just throw this out there. There really are only three buckets. One time I was at my buddy's, Kevin Cooper. He's a big lister out in Sacramento, Elk Grove area. And I was out there doing a couple of, like 2 or 3 seminars back in the day. This was way back before I wrote the book, probably wrote any of my books except my short sale one. And I was in the shower, man, and this thought came to me like, where are you getting all your listings? Because people would ask me, okay, how do I get listing leads? And I'm like, listing leads are everywhere. Like I remember Brian Buffini would say, all you got to do is just imagine you have a net and you just sweep it down like that. You pulling up all kinds of cash listings, everything, because it really is out there. It really is that easy. But somebody listening is like, man, this guy's talking crazy. I don't know. So they're not living that reality yet. But one day they will live that reality if they keep going down the road of listening to your podcast. They'll be living that reality, no doubt about it. So anyway, that's I was in the shower. I had this epiphany. It's like, where are these leads coming from? And so I actually tracked it. So I took a couple hundred listings that I had taken, and I wrote the lead source of how I was getting those leads. Okay. And we should be tracking our numbers anyway, but I had to go back. It was retrospective. And there was about 12 lead sources, Chadi, but when it came down to it, there was only 3 lead buckets, only 3. And that's good news because it's really not that difficult. Number 1 is your sphere of influence, your SOI. The second bucket that all the listing leads that you want are going to come from is your farm. Okay. And the third bucket is going to be your niche, okay, whatever niche you choose. And some of us have multiple niches, okay? So I came up with a system where you could actually generate leads from your SOI, your farm, and your niche for free. You don't have to pay for any of that. And that's the great thing that I love about listings. The one thing that listings do require, though, is they require a high level of confidence. Okay, and I think that's the reason, Chadi, that a lot of agents are afraid of them, because when you walk in there, man, you exude confidence. See, most of, I think only 12 or 13% of our communication is verbal. The rest of it is nonverbal. It's your eyes, your hands, your tonality, the way you're speaking, the phrases that you're using, are you stammering? Are you confident in what you're saying? But it's not even that so much, Chadi, as it is an energetic thing. So when you walk in, Chadi, and I'm like, I'm sizing you up right away. And eventually, about 2 or 3 minutes in, I know, yes or no, this is my guy or this is my gal, okay,
Right.
that's going to list my house. Energetically, as Homo sapiens, we just know we have a way of doing that, and that gets into that's into quantum physics, but which is another thing I teach. But the whole key is it's a confidence thing. And that's why I say you go from fear and doubt, okay, to belief. And then once you are in, and the word for belief is a Greek word called pistio, which means to fully rely on, okay, to fully rest in. So in other words, in the old days, in thousands of years ago, the word belief was not, it was an action word. It was a verb. Okay. It wasn't a noun. So when you looked at the word belief, it meant that you actually took action. So there's no, in other words, I can tell if somebody believes what they're saying by the actions they're taking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I said, I believe in the chair, I say, well, show me that you believe in the chair. Well, you would walk over to the chair and sit down in it. That's to fully rely on, to fully rest in, or to fully rely on. That's the real name of the word belief. So when you fully integrate the training, the teaching that you have around listings, that's where you get in the realm of belief. And then when you start activating and doing it, and you start getting listings, you're like, man, this stuff works. Okay?
Evidence.
Yeah, evidence. Then you're like, I know it works because I've been doing it, man. It's at one after another. I'm getting all these listings. And then you just become, and then I could say, Chadi, where are you getting your leads, your listings? You're like, they're just from everywhere. They come from all over. I'd have to really think about where did I get this one? Oh yeah, that was but when you think about it, guys, if you go back with about 95% of the listings that you've taken are going to come from those 3 buckets: your sphere of influence, your farm, and niche.
I want to say something about that.
Yeah.
In my listings on demand, coaching program, one of my clients, turned into a coach for the company now. Okay, because that's what we do. We get somebody, we make them successful, and then we turn them on to help other people in our community. We were doing a training yesterday, and she will do a little bit north of 100 deals this year, and everybody was going to be like, it was like a Q&A thing, and one of the questions was like, how are you getting your business? I kid you not, Nolly. Here's what she said: sphere of influence, okay, my farm, and then the rest was mostly expireds.
Yeah.
Which just goes straight. So when we take a look at the top of the top agents, they're they're diversified. They're taking care of the people that they're bringing into their world, by maintaining communications with their database and all that good stuff. They said, hey, I'm in this business long term, and this is a territory that I want to be known as the expert in. I think that's something that everybody should do if you're going to be in the business long term, okay, where you nurture that area. And then select the niche for, where are these opportunities in my marketplace, and let that become your niche. And I want to expand on that just a little bit, Nolly. So let's say, who I am is someone right now in the marketplace. I got a couple of buyers I'm working with. They're taking up my time and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that. We need to serve the buyers as well, too, because that's how we get our listings sold.
Oh, I love buyer agents now. Don't get me wrong on that.
Exactly. And I want to shift. I want to shift to the listing side because I think that's a very common thing, and everybody wants to really shift to the listing side, and not everybody is. But for the people that are ready to make that shift from working mostly buyers to having a 50-50 split, or just take more listings, where should that person begin? Like if we could just say, here's just one thing instead of like 3 or 5 things, just one thing that they need to do to shift to the seller side, what should they do?
Yeah, so first I'm going to take it to mindset, because we know I teach 8 tenets or 8 pillars to success in any business. But the first pillar is mindset. So you have to take on the belief that you are a listing agent. See, here's the thing, Chadi, I never once marketed for a buyer. So I've done a lot of marketing. I got to tell you, I still do a lot of marketing, but I've never once in any of my messaging put out a marketing piece for a buyer, like for a buyer lead. So I've never attracted buyers. Now, naturally, if you've got a lot of listings, you're going to attract a ton of buyers anyway, by default.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to do that anyway. But I've never had so all of my mail pieces was like thinking about selling your home. Are you considering selling? What's your home worth in today's crazy market? Things like that. So it was always, so what I want you to start doing is begin thinking like a listing agent. This is going to be a mindset shift for you. Begin thinking like a listing agent. Okay. Then number 2, I want you to start focusing on your sphere of influence. So, because that is the first bucket that you want to overcome. And in fact, National Association of Realtors says that 70%, a little over 70% of people polled last year and the year before chose their real estate agent based on a referral from a friend, family, or they used a previous agent, or it was something in the realm of a referral. Okay, somebody that was that was in their sphere of influence. Okay, so that's the biggest bucket. And what I teach is an 18 touch. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there. I just say, hey, just begin. But I teach an easy 18 touch, which is 12 newsletters, 4 postcards, 2 phone calls, and then you can do, if you want, that's 18. And then if you want to, you can do a New Year's card or a or a
birthday
Christmas
card, or whatever.
Yes, a birthday or something like that. But I would say start with your SOI. Start there, and that's all about building a list. You want to have at least 200 people, and people are like, I don't have an SOI. Well, most people, Chadi, when I'm doing a seminar or something, I say, hey, get your phone out, and I want you to go to your contacts, scroll to the bottom. They scroll all the way to the bottom. It's like, how many contacts do you have? You have a lot more people that you know than you think. And so it's all about building that list, and then it's about consistently staying in touch with your people. Okay, that's real quick. So that's where I would start. Chadi,
Okay.
with that.
So yeah, so you know, and I like what you said, because sometimes I'd be talking to people too, Nolly, and they're like, well, you know, I only got a database of 30 people. And I'm like, well, you seem to have, like, you know, 2,000 friends on Facebook. And, you know, check your phone records. And then they're like, yeah, oh, right. And, you know, in my trainings, we call this system the most important system. That's just the name of it. It's the most important system, and it's the most neglected system. And it reminds me of the gentleman that I was working with. I just want to validate your point, not that you need any validation or anything like that, because in these conversations, you're reminded of many of the people that you worked with, and, you know, all the experiences we've had. I was working with this gentleman named Scott, and Scott was in the business for well over a decade. And he's here in Orange County, California, you know, making a good living, $350,000. That's a good living. And, you know, he signed up for coaching because he wanted to take his business to the next level. And I kid you not, like, literally the first 6 months, we only focused on one thing and one thing only. And that is to stop neglecting the system and rebuild the past relationships you had inside that system. And only in 12 months, we exactly doubled his income without adding any other lead generation systems.
It's amazing.
So if
I believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
If somebody is listening to this right now, like, you know, we're recording this in May right now. Okay. If somebody's listening to this right now or watching this video, I'm going to say this to you. If you haven't already talked to every single person in your database at least once, just start there. Start there. You'll figure out the newsletter later. You'll figure out the email later, the postcard later. Just start by picking up the phone and just saying, hey, Nolly, it's been a while since we had a conversation. Just wanted to check in and say hello. That's it. You don't need a script.
That's right.
You just need to be an authentic human being that really cares about the people in their database. That in itself will separate you from anyone else in the marketplace. Very, very good tip. And now we're going to segue a little bit, because, you know, we talked about mindset, you know, we talked about lead generation. How important is the listing presentation?
The listing presentation is super important in my view. I mean, so I have a whole like a listing presentation package that in fact, since you brought that up, I actually have, I actually wrote a book. Let me see if I have the newer version of it. I'll just show you this real quick. So I've got a whole toolkit that because it really, so when you meet with a seller, here's what I got. We have to get this into your head. Okay, you have to win the listing before you ever meet with the seller. Okay, let me say that again. In today's times that we live in right now, you've got to win the listing before you ever meet with the seller. I mean, Chadi, I travel, I do seminars and stuff like that. You know, I've been off during COVID, but when I would go to a seminar and teach, I guarantee you the people, the butts in seats, they had seen me before. Okay, they didn't just show up to see this random crazy dude in a cowboy hat, right? They had seen me before, and there was something that I said that got them to the event. Okay, and the same thing with the sellers that you're going after. Okay, it's the same thing. So I actually wrote a seller guide. This is part of my pre-listing package. This is an older version of it, by the way. This is me when I first got started. But I've been using this since day one, and I actually started licensing it out. So I got other people that actually take the guide and, you know, they use it for their own. But the reality is I got my seller guide. I've got my pre-listing package. And I used to not have a pre-listing package. I was like, man, I'm Knolly Williams. I'm going in, I'm going to take but It was a lot more work. I was there longer. And with a pre-listing package, guess what? If you're good without one, you'll be on fire with one. And then the third piece that I like to have in my arsenal is what I call a pre-listing video. Okay. Or my pre-listing package, I call it a press kit. Okay, and my pre-listing video, it's like a demo reel. It's like if you think about going to get hired for a movie, like if you're an actor and you're going to get hired for a movie, well, unless you're Russell Crowe, you better send a demo reel in to see. I want to know why you should be the bank robber in scene 23, right? Why should we? So you're going to send your demo reel, man. Here's 5 other movies I was on. Here's my picture here. You're going to send your package, right? And so this is very important for us as listers to have a very, very professional, I call it a toolkit. And they're not difficult to create. And back to your original point too, Shadi, and I think people will overlook this. You need a coach. I mean, look, listings on demand. That's what you're doing, Shadi. People need this. If you have one, oh man, Knolly's trying to sell coaching. Well, yeah, and here's why. And I don't do one-on-one coaching. Okay, so that's not even something I'm selling for myself. But if you reach out to Shadi, because here's the thing. When I was 8 months in the business, Shadi, I was overwhelmed. I was taking so many listings. I had a reverse problem. I was taking so much business that I had a leverage problem. By the way, in this business, you'll only have two problems ever, only two. Okay. You don't have enough leads or you don't have enough leverage. That's it. And when you have so many leads, you're like, man, and that's the reason why so many agents are in feast or famine. I want to speak to this for just a minute, Shadi, and then we're going to, because I want to get us back on track here. So many agents I was thinking about this the other day. Why are so many agents in feast or famine? Here's why. Because they do the work that we teach them to do, Shadi. They're doing the work that you teach them to do, and they get in business. And then the business just rolls in and it goes nuts. Then they take their eye off the lead generation pedal. They're not mashing it to the floor anymore. Now they're over here trying to handle the business they got. Well, guess what? It takes 90 days. You and I know this. It takes 90 days to ramp that up again. So what happens is they get all this business and then they sell all their business. And then guess what? They're broke for 90 days because they're back in the lead generation again. You got to break that cycle. You always want to be lead generating. That's why we do the 2 every single morning.
Do the 2. I love that.
Yeah, do the 2 every single morning. Well, Knolly, I got too much business. Stop that. Shame on you. There's no such thing as too much business. If you got more business than you can handle, now we have a leverage problem. Okay, so when I was 8 months in the business, I hired a Mike Ferry coach. Okay, Shadi, I know you were with Mike Ferry. Right. That was back in the day, boy. That was vintage, 2003. I was 8 months in the business. Could I afford $1,000 a month? Maybe, but I didn't think I could, and I didn't want to pay $1,000 a month. Okay, but guess what? I knew that I needed a coach, and the very first thing my coach did, I'll just throw this out and end with this, is she took me from 40 deals. That was where my head was at, Shadi. But within about 2 or 3 conversations, she took me from 40 deals, which was like I thought that was going to be like riding high, to 100 deals. And I was able to do 100 deals a year for more than 10 years in a row, just with a mindset shift. Okay, that's the power of coaching. And you think about it, $1,000 a month. What is that? 60 additional listings. That's like 600 additional listings in 10 years. Yeah. Okay, if you did the math on that, and by the way, I've never not had a coach. Okay, I have a coach now. I was talking to one of my students recently. I was like, hey, I got a meeting with my coach in a little bit. I got to hang. You have a coach? You're Knolly Williams. Like, yeah, I got a coach. And guess what? Yeah. the more successful you become, the more expensive the coaches get.
Exactly. And sometimes, Knolly, what happens is, the more successful you become, the more coaches you need at the same time. That's because true. Not one person is really an expert in all areas that you need to take your business to the next level. That's a good point. And that's one of the main reasons that in Listings on Demand, what we did is we have a 5-on-1 model. Our coaching program is a 5-on-1 model. So basically you get, 5 experts on, 5 different areas of your business, and then each one focuses with you on one specific area of your business.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant because with one-on-one, you and I know this, with one-on-one, you're getting one perspective from one person. Yep. I like 5-on-1. That's much better. Yeah. I love it.
So look, okay, so we talked mindset, we talked lead generation, we talked about, you mentioned the word, discipline, and then, we talked about, the pre-listing package, and then, you're like a highlight reel, like a demo, that right there is not that everything that you said is 100% relevant in all marketplaces, but right now, I think it's critically important to have that video. Yeah. Okay, it's like, would I rather read a brochure you know, or would I rather watch a video? With the video, you can text it straight to their device, and they're there watching it, and they get to experience you through your body language and your communication, stuff like that.
Right.
And we live in the world of, like, you know, social media and all that stuff. So one thing, two things combined together, I think would be good to address here for everybody that's, you know, watching and or listening to this, is that, you know, we're talking about picking up the phone and do the two every single day. And there's a lot of talk out there, a lot of marketers out there saying, hey, cold calling is dead. You know, because social media has taken over. Can you say anything about that?
Well, let me just say this. So there's no strategy that's dead. I mean, think about direct mail even. I mean, direct mail is a great strategy right now. I don't know why more people, I still use it. And so you're going to have different things come in and out of fashion. But here's what I teach, and I believe this with all my heart. I choose to make it fun and easy. Look, if it's not fun, I'm out. You know, I don't just work for money. I've made a crap ton of money in this business, and I'm still making lots of money. You know, my house is paid off. I don't have any debts of any kind. I don't, my everything's paid off in my life. I'm debt free. And I do this because I love it. I enjoy what I do. And so, and this is one of the things that I try to teach my students is, you know, on the financial piece, a lot of them don't have the financial security. And that will hurt you too, because when you sit down with a client, whether you're debt free or not, don't even focus on that, because if you're not, one day you will be. Okay, you purpose that into existence. But even if you're not, you don't want lack to show up in the meeting, because see, when I sit down with a client, there's confidence. First of all, I know I'm gonna get their home sold, and number two, I'm not relying on their commission to make my mortgage payment. Doesn't matter either way. So I'm good, you know. So that's a level of confidence that you want to come to, whether you have a mortgage or not. You want to have that, you know, you want to kind of exude that. But back to the question about cold calling. So me personally, I've never made a cold call, okay? But I've got people in my group that I coach, that I teach, that's their main strategy. And so here's what I teach, Chadi, and a lot of trainers don't teach this, but I believe it. If it's not fun, I don't want it, right? I choose to make this fun and easy. Let me say it again. I choose to make it fun and easy. That's my affirmation. I say it every day.
Keyword is truth. Keyword is truth. You're choosing.
I choose to make it fun and easy. So what I do is I look at a person's personality profile. I do the disc and I look at their personality profile. I also follow Wealth Dynamics, Roger Hamilton, and he has another personality profile system that's like disc on steroids. And then once I see what that person is, I try to have them lead generate according to their personality profile, okay? So in other words, I let them lead generate within their zone of genius, because there's a lot of people, Chadi, like I'm an introvert, okay? So it's not my natural rhythm to cold call, okay? It doesn't mean you can't do it, okay? It just means that over time, if you engage in something that's outside of your zone of genius, it's going to not really, you're not going to love it. You're not going to love doing it. Okay. So I have other techniques that I have for introverts on my group. I have other techniques for extroverts in my group. And guess what? They're all reaching success. Okay. So, but a cold call, to me, a cold call isn't calling your SOI. That's not a cold call. That's a warm call. Okay. So that, you know, obviously you have to, you got to engage with your list. Okay, that's super important. But no, these techniques work, man. I mean, when you look at, but again, the reason why I like your 5-on-1 model, Chadi, is because a lot of coaches will teach you what works for them, and then when you take it on, it doesn't necessarily work the same for you because it's not within your zone of genius. Here's what was attributed to Albert Einstein. He says, you know, a fit for everyone is a genius. Everyone's a genius. But if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking it's stupid. Okay. But here's the thing. You take that fish, you throw it in the ocean. Oh man, it's on, right? But it may not be able to climb a tree. And so I identify, okay, you're a squirrel. We're going to do this with you. Oh, you're a fish. We're going to throw you over here. So there's no strategy that's truly dead, in my opinion. It's just a matter of what's within your zone of genius, is what I like to say.
I love what you said. You're absolutely right, Nolly. There's no strategy that's dead. Okay, look, and at the end of the day, the market is going to do what it's going to do. And maybe, it's temporarily not as effective as it used to be. Okay. And that's why you got to diversify your business, and you got to have the 3 buckets.
Right.
So, your center of influence in your database, that's always going to feature. Okay. Your farm, it might be, hey, we're hot this season, we're a little bit slower this season, just like any other business, whether it's a restaurant, department store, or whatever it is. That's the nature of business. And then, your niche is definitely going to be that place that you choose to make it fun, and that's your zone of genius, activity, etc. Knolly, I think I think a lot of light bulbs went off for a lot of people in hearing this conversation today, because we kept it very relevant, we kept it very raw, and we kept it very real, and that's the most important thing to do. Yeah. Now, I always like to end with a question, and the question is there a question that I should have asked you that I did not ask you that I should ask you?
What's the meaning of life?
Okay,
that's going to be different for everybody, but
what is the meaning of life?
I would say so here, this is what's really important to me. So when I got into I'm just going to say this, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm always honest anyway, but I'm going to be like vulnerable, if you will. So when I got and an introvert doesn't really like to share his feelings. In fact, I had to hire a coach. You talk about different coaches. I have a coach. I have so many. You're making me think. How many coaches? I got like 5 coaches right now. And one of my coaches, he helped me to begin to feel again. Because see, when I was a child, I was abused. I was abused every way except sexually. I was physically abused, mentally abused, verbally abused. I mean, you name it, I was abused in those ways. And so as I became a shy kid, introverted, but I've always been relatively a happy kid. You know what I'm saying? Here's what I want everybody to understand. Every single one of you is a 3-year-old. Okay. You think that I'm sophisticated. I'm Knolly Williams. No. You're a 3-year-old. The reality is 88%, okay, 88% of the things that you do every single day. Look, Shadi's got another appointment already. He's booking them.
No, it's my little boy giving me a call. I'm like, he should be in school right now. Why'd you call him?
There you go. See, we're all kids, right? And here's the thing: 88% of the things that you do every day are in your subconscious. They're autonomic. Okay, you're not aware of them. Okay, even the thoughts that you're thinking, you're like, I'm thinking these thoughts. No, you're not. Just try to shut your thoughts off for a minute. The thoughts are just coming to you. I mean, there's like almost like an invisible other person in there. So what I want people to realize is at the end of the day, and this is what I've come to understand, because when I got into real estate, I needed money, and I talked to a lot of people too, Shadi. They're like, oh, I can't afford listings on demand because I don't have any money right now. But that you gotta let go of that. You really have to let go of that. If you want what you say you want, okay, then you gotta really reach out and let people help you. So what I would say is most important thing, find out what it is. What is the song of your heart? What is the true desire of your heart? Because I believe with all my heart that real estate is a conduit, okay? It's a channel for you to be able to live your purpose and passion. Doesn't matter what your purpose is, what your passion is. Somebody might say, well, I'm passionate about baking, or I'm passionate about gardening, or I'm passionate about whatever it is. Doesn't matter. You take the passion test, find out what your passions are, your 3 core passions. And then whatever those are, I'm absolutely convinced that real estate is a vehicle to help you do. I've never seen anything like it, Shadi. I mean, in this business, just think about it this way. When I was making the most money in real estate, I was working the least hours. Even now, I was working 3 hours a week in my real estate business because this is a highly leverageable business. Right. One other thing I'm going to mention real quick. I'm going to just throw this out there just so people can see it. So I have a 46-step system when it comes to listings. Okay, this is hard to see. I know the camera's not letting you see that too well, but I have a 46-step system. You can download it for free at my website, knolly.com. But here's the thing. Here's the cool thing. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6 things on this list, okay, that require a license. Everything else is leverageable. Everything else can be delegated. Okay, so at some point you'll get to the point where you'll leverage out the majority of your business. Okay, if you choose to, it's a choice, so that 91% of the activities that you do are done by others. Okay, it doesn't have to even be a huge team. It could be a very small team, you and 1 or 2 other people. Okay, and guess what? Those the lady that had those 14 buyers that Chadi mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, she's not going on vacation anytime soon.
Nope.
She's done. She's on lockdown. Unpack your bags. But guess what? If I've got 14 listings, I'm going on vacation. That doesn't stop any of my plans. Okay. Your clients don't call you. Here's the thing. You're not working nights and weekends. Okay. These are the 5 tenets that I teach. Working 20 to 30 hours a week or less, taking nights and weekends off, being debt free, 4 to 5 vacations a year, and making $250,000 or more a year. If you're not doing that, you're not focused on listings. if that's not, or you don't have Chadi in your life.
Or you don't got Knollys in your life.
Yeah. So I would say that find out what it is that you truly are here for, because we're here for more than just to make a crap ton of money. Right. I made my first $1 million when I was 29 years old. I'm 51. Okay, so that was over 20 years ago. I made my first $1 million. I made $2 million that year, and I've made millions and millions and millions of dollars since then. Okay, but what I found to be the most important thing is to find out what truly makes Knolly Williams happy, what truly makes you happy, what fulfills the desires of your heart, and then go after that with all your heart and mind and soul, and use real estate, use your real estate profession and career as a conduit to your passion. That's what I would say. As that
well, I'm glad I thought of that last question, right? That was a good question to get the right question. Knollys, I just want to say, man, thank you very much for your time today. And I know, like I said earlier, a lot of light bulbs went off for a lot of people, and there's people out there that are saying, hey, I do want to find out a little bit more about Knollys and how he can help me. And I'm, Knollys, like some people are going to put Knollly. So so
or Nali or
yeah, and Knollys or whatever, how it is. For me, it's like, Shady, Shady. So
yeah.
So where's the best place to find you online? And if we could give them a spelling, because they're going to be, some people are going to be listening to this, and I'll make sure that we include it in our show notes at tlashow.com as well too.
Yeah, and I always tell people I'm easy to find if you can spell my name.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Knollly, Knollly.com. That's my website. That's my name. That's my birth name, and I'm actually a junior. So it's a Trinidadian name. My father hails from Trinidad. So Knollly.com. You'll find my books and a lot of other 90+% of what I do is free. I've got a YouTube channel where I actually drop a video every single day. Chadi, can you believe that?
Wow.
I've been waiting a long time to be able to say that, but we've been very consistent with the last few months, dropping a video every single day on my YouTube channel. But yeah, if you want to find all things Knollys, just go to Knollly.com, Knollly.com.
Awesome.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Well, brother, I appreciate you, and I feel like we could have made this a few-hour episode. And with that said, I look forward to having you on here again so we can continue to serve and continue the conversation. So I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chadi.
Awesome.